Three words: cost of living. Surely the biggest concern for many Queenslanders right now, especially if you're struggling to keep a roof over your head, and especially if you're someone like Jackie Rose, who lived in her car for 18 months.
Did I expect to be homeless? No. No, I expected that there'd still be low-income flats available. I expected to be able to still rent a flat in this area for $200, $250 a week.
The 58-year-old's a part-time cook and describes herself as the working poor.
I'm definitely out of the market. I'm way out of it. I'm way out of it. And I'm even out of the room sharing market, house sharing market. You know, they charge, people want $300, $350 a week for a room in a share house.
If you're eligible, social housing can be a solution, but good luck getting it. The average wait time has blown out to almost 2.5 years. The number of people on Queensland's social housing register has risen to more than 45,000. More than 7,000 applications involve single parents with children. Both sides of politics say they have plans to ease the crisis. Labor's promising 53,500 new social homes by 2046. And in something of a bidding war, the LNP has set the same target, but aims to deliver them 2 years earlier. Is that enough? My guest says no. Amy McVie is the CEO of the Queensland Council of Social Service and joins me. Thank you so much for your time. How did we get to this point?
Look, Jess, there is no question that Queensland really is the epicentre of Australia's housing crisis, and it is clearly the fault of decades of neglect by successive governments. We have not had any governments at a state or a Commonwealth level grapple with how we make sure we have enough houses for our growing population.
Why not?
Well, look, I think it is an area that government hasn't given particular priority to until we get to crisis. And so the issue now is that these are long-term issues requiring long-term solutions while Queenslanders are in crisis, while women are living with children, raising their children in hotel rooms and cars.
Who are the people typically on the social housing register? What are their circumstances?
To get onto the register in the first place, you have to satisfy some really stringent criteria. There's an income test and there's a non-financial test. So you can be on an extremely low income and still not be able to get onto the register because you don't satisfy the non-financial tests. That's things like having a disability, a chronic health issue, escaping domestic and family violence, or having had multiple failed attempts to secure a housing in the private rental market. People on the housing register really are very disadvantaged Queenslanders. Our independent research shows that the numbers on the housing register are a small indicator of the need that we have in Queensland. While there's about more than 45,000 Queenslanders on the register, there's more like 300,000 Queenslanders with unmet housing need. Jess, that's a population twice the size of Cairns.
Yeah, it's staggering. Are there particular parts of Queensland that are worse off than others?
It really is a race to the bottom. You know, at one point, not that long ago, 5 years ago, we're in a position where if you really needed to secure an affordable rental, you could move outside Brisbane or out to the regions and be pretty comfortable that you could secure an affordable rental property in the private rental market. It's no longer the case in Queensland.
Both sides of politics have set ambitious targets to build new homes. Are you confident that can be achieved?
Look, I think it's important to give credit where credit's due. These are really important targets and we shouldn't criticise governments for being ambitious. We have to do everything it takes to deliver on these commitments, because if we don't, we're not paving a way out of this crisis.
What else can be done to help ease the pressure?
Well, just a third of Queenslanders rent. And so many of those renters are currently struggling to keep a secure roof over their head. The cost of renting is continuing to increase, and there's currently no measure to bring that cost down, to make sure that there's some limit to how much rent can be increased by. And so absolutely we need more more regulation of the private rental market to make sure people can't be evicted for no good reason, and to make sure that rent isn't increasing in a way that people can't afford.
Well, there are limits now, aren't there? You can only increase once a year, but are you saying the amount should be limited?
Absolutely, the amount needs to be limited. What we're seeing right now is unprecedented increases in rent.
So limited to what?
Well, what we'd like to see is a model similar to the ACT, where they do have regulation that ties how much rent can be increased to inflation, so that both renters and property owners can have some clarity about how much rent can be increased and how often it will be increased.
Landlords aren't necessarily going to like that. I mean, their expenses are increasing too.
Yeah, that is absolutely right. And we're not talking about a freeze. We're not talking about stopping rent from increasing. We're talking about putting in some regulation in relation to how much it can be increased by.
Amy McVie, thank you.
Thanks so much for having me.